officially. So that's the time I officially work. I don't know what the work is.
No, that he's on vacation, not you.
Oh, Naftali's on vacation.
Yeah.
I hear. Okay, so no further ado. I'm sorry. So we left off bottom of. It's a short daf tonight. Bottom of non base and base. Tani Rahashi.
The Aleph from an Aleph, no?
No, base on the bottom.
All right, I didn't move my piece then. Okay, I'm sorry.
4 lines up from the bottom. Yeah, they see it, Tani. Again, we're doing the sugya of the regular chazaka. Now we were done with the 3-year chazakas. Now we're on to how do you make a chazaka when you want to be kind of field from somebody. So what's the chazaka? So we said you can build a fence, knock down a fence, that type of thing. So Tani Rav Hashia, the Kedushin Devei Levi. Rav Hashia learned, and it's part of the Kedushin of Bei Levi. Right, the Masechta Kedushin of the Beis Medrash of Levi. Noal Gadar Paratz Kolshu B'Fanav Harez Chazaka. If somebody wants to buy a field, so if he locks it up, or he builds it up, or he breaks the fence, anything like that, if it's done in front of the person who's giving it, either b'matana or a mechira, either a sale or a present, harezu chazaka, that's considered a chazaka. If somewhere it says b'fan of in shaloi b'fan of loy, it's only if he does it in front of him, but he doesn't do it in front of him, then the kinyan doesn't work. What do you have to what do you have to be in front of him for? So Amarava Hachi Kamer b'fan of light sarich lemeimerle. Lech chazek v'kanei. When he's in front of him, he doesn't have to say this. Go be kindness. Go or make a chazak or be kindness. Meaning when the guy buys the field and then the seller is sitting there, and he says to him, he doesn't have to say to him Lech chazek v'kanei. Right? On to Aleph now. Shaloi b'fanav, but if the guy is not there, meaning let's say he buys it from him when they're in the grocery store, so then he has to tell him, go and be kind. Right? It's fairly straightforward. Boy, Rav. So Rav asked the Shaila. Matana heich. What do you do about a matana? Right? Meaning, do you have a chazaka? Do you also have to have this b'fanav shaloi b'fanav leich chazek v'kanei or not? So Amar Shmuel mighty boy leila abba. What's the shaila? Hashdu ma mecher a mechira a sale de kayav lezuzi, by a sale where the person actually is giving money. If he tells him to go do chazaka, he's kind, and if not, to matana like kol shekain. So matana for sure, right? Of course he's gonna have to say be kind. Meaning when a guy buys something, he gives him when a guy buys something, he and he gives money, still the seller has to say go be kind. So when it's just a matana, then for sure. The Rav Sovar, but Rav holds mandiya matana ba'ein yafu. We had this a couple of blot ago. When somebody gives a matana, we actually had by mechira. When somebody gives a matana, he gives it ba'ein yafu. He doesn't. If a guy's already giving away a field for matana, so he's not going to make the guy meshuga. He's just say here's the field, and he doesn't have to actually verbalize leik chazek bekoni. Fine. The kama koshu. So we said that all he has to do is build it a koshu. The kama koshu the Shmuel damar Shmuel geder godar b'shlimul asara. If all he has to do is build the fence and be mashlim it to 10 tvach, which is anywhere from 30 inches to 40 inches. Let's say the fence is 25 inches. So if he raises it up to 30 inches, according to those that say 10 tvach, that 10 tvach is 30 inches, or raise it up to 40 inches, like the Chazon Ish. So they're a little less than 40 inches. So then that's enough. Uparatz pirza. What does it mean to break the fence? In order if somebody comes in and out. I raise a chazaka, that's a chazaka. Right? So that's together. That's the together, no pun intended. The gather is that if you raise the fence to 10 tvachim, and the pirza is when you knock a hole in the fence in order for people to get in and out. So the Gemara asks, "Hi gather, hechi dami." What's the case of this gather? If you say that in the beginning, before the guy built the fence, nobody could go above the fence. And now, even though he raised the fence a little bit, they still can't go. But he didn't do anything. Meaning, if the fence was good enough, right? So then why did he have to? Then what did he do? Even though he raised the fence, must be when the fence was there in the beginning. Somebody could go. And now he's not. Tuva, but then he did a lot. Meaning the Gemara says all he has to do is build the fence a little bit. So the Gemara is asking if he made the fence usable, so then he did a lot. And if he didn't make the fence usable, meaning it was usable anyway, so then what does it help?
So he's adding this to the whole fence, up to 10 tefach. So he's adding a tefach or two around the whole perimeter of the whole fence.
He's adding on. Yes, but that's the Gemara Shaila. What is that tefach accomplishing?
But I'm saying, he's doing it around the whole perimeter, the whole fence.
Oh, you're asking what happens if he only does one wall?
I'm saying, is he doing a 4-foot piece of fence, or he's doing one side? He's doing all three sides. He's doing the whole thing.
I hear, because you mean the Gemara is just dealing with height. What you're saying? Like, what happens if the wall? Let's say it had 3 walls, and he built it up a little bit on the 4th wall,
or something like that. I don't know.
I hear. I didn't think about that, Tucker. I don't know. I would assume it means all 4 sides, because otherwise
someone could come in on the other side. If it's not the right height, someone could come in on the other side.
Right. That's what I would think. Yeah. So okay, but the Gemara. What?
Then then it matters how big the area is.
Correct. The guy could have an acre. You're buying an acre field, and you got to put a tefach around the whole fence around the whole acre.
That's what I'm saying. That's what the Gemara is saying. He has to spend $5,000 on fencing to show that he owns the field now. I don't know.
Yeah, the chayr he would have to know.
I don't know.
Where does a survey come in? Where does a survey come into halacha? You have a survey nowadays where people can show this is my property from a survey. Would the Gemara hold that the survey would?
Well, we're not looking at halacha l'maisa now, Avi.
Well, you just said you bought an acre of property. You have to put a fence
around.
You
have to show a survey. Yeah, but a survey does anything to the field?
It shows what's your property. It's because you buy a field, you buy a house, you buy a property, you get a survey that says this is the size, this is where your property line goes up to.
You mean you hire a surveyor to make a new survey? You're saying, or you just going to the town hall to get a survey is not that you're not talking about.
No, but you have a survey with the deed and the title, like do you still have to?
I don't know. I don't know if that's the modern day chazaka, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, but that's the Gemara is asking. What are we talking about? We're talking about any minor building. So if the fence was functional before the guy built it, so what did he do? And if the fence wasn't functional, so then he did a lot. So how do you have a case of a fence with a little? In the beginning, he was able to go. People could jump the fence easily. Now they can only jump it much more difficult. So even that type of thing, even though he's only helping the fence a little bit, still that's what the Gemara means when he says even a small chazaka, that's enough. Fine, okay. Then Gemara says the same thing with the breaking the fence, the hole in the fence. Hi pirza, what's the case of a pirza? If you say the beginning, you can go through the fence. And now you could still get through it. So my oven, they didn't do anything. Meaning, if there was a hole in the fence and he just made the hole wider, big deal, right? So that can't be. Must be it was a good fence. Nobody can go through it. But now he broke a hole in the fence. Now they can get through it. Tuva avad. So he did a lot. So again, where do you have even a small break? Like you really, you could have gone in, you could have gone through it. Now he widened the opening in the fence, so you can get through there very easily. So that's what it means, mashahu of breaking the fence. Fine. So then Omar of Asi, Omar of Yochanan, Nosan Tzror, if somebody puts a tzror as a pebble, v'hoyel, and that helps the hoyel means from the word aliyah, to makes it helps the field. Not tzror v'hoyel, or he takes a pebble v'hoyel, and that also helps the field. Hareza chazak. I mean, all he did is put down a pebble, or he took a pebble. That's also chazak.
What does it mean exactly? What's the case?
Well, that's the Gemara is going to ask. Now the Gemara is going to ask. Let's see what the Gemara says. So my nosan or my notal. What does it mean? Nosan and notal. Elam and nosan tzror. If you said that he put a pebble there, the sachar mayamino, and because of that, it blocked, meaning the water was dripping into the field, and he took a pebble and he blocked the opening where the water was coming in. Right? That's putting the rock, not tzror, and taking the rock, and then he would let out the field, meaning either it's coming to irrigate the field and he blocked it, or it was draining from the field and he blocked it. I'm sorry, he was not draining from the field and he opened it up so that it should drain. So then, that's not doing anything to the field. Then whereas all that is chasing a lion away from the field. Meaning nobody's going to think that if there was a lion coming into the neighbor's field and you chased it away, that's called a chazaka. Nobody's going to think that. You didn't do anything to the field. You just stopped the lion. So the same thing here. He didn't do anything to the field. Either he put a rock there that was blocked the water from coming in, or he took a rock away that the water's going out. But that wasn't a maisa in the field. So what does it mean? Ela nosan tzror, the tzamad lamaya. He took a rock, he took a pebble that was blocking the. I'm sorry. He took a rock, and then that made the water stop leaving the field. Not tzror, or he took away a rock, and because he took away the rock, more water came into the field. So that is already a action that's a maisa in the field itself to help the field. Because now, when he took away the rock, it's going to keep the field irrigated. And when he put the rock, he blocked the field from leaving the water from leaving the field. So therefore, that's helping the field. When he took a rock away, right, then more water came into the field. That's also an action in the actual field. That makes sense? I'm saying it's I mean, that would be a way. Meaning, well, I think maybe this is what's bothering you. What do you mean? Stop taking a rock from the field and throwing it out of there. Is that enough?
You have
a baseball diamond. You don't want any rocks on the diamond, right? In the infield. So you pick up one rock and you throw it away. For some reason, the Gemara didn't have a havamina that's a chazaka. I think. Right? Or you added some dirt to the warning track. I hope the island knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. So then
it seems there's a difference between stopping damage from happening to the field and promoting the productivity of the field. Stopping damage anyone would do for another year. But promoting the productivity of the field is a maisa bailis. That's something an owner would do.
Yeah, that's
right. So I'm saying so why can't taking a rock out of the field be improving the field?
It's not improving the field, it's just stopping damage. It's a mania.
It's not necessarily damage. It's not
the water's not being irrigated enough.
No, we're not talking about stopping. There's a rock in the middle of his field and you don't want anybody to trip on it. What's that?
That's nothing. That's just throwing a rock.
Okay, that's what the Gemara seems to be saying. That the Gemara doesn't have a havamina that taking a rock out of a field is. Personally, if you would have asked me, I would say that's a fine chazaka. That shows the guy cares about the field enough to remove a rock.
You see
But-
all over America, they see these rock walls. The rock walls are built up not to make walls, but they took the rocks out of the field in order that the field should grow properly. So you shouldn't have problems with harisha, with plowing and stuff. So moving a rock out of the field makes the field better for planting, and it's all over America. It's a
Right. So the question is, so
that's
why didn't the
how
Gemara
you
just
do it.
go? So according to you, Rach, I mean, why didn't the Gemara just say that case? No, or shouldn't have just done that?
I don't know. I can't
No,
answer.
I'm asking. I don't know.
Then you're
I-
building a wall anyway. Building a wall is a Mesa Chazaka either way. Just picking up and throwing a rock out of a field is just picking up and throwing a rock. We can't
Why?
tell that
No,
it's,
brother, Rachman is right. Your plow is going to hit that rock, and it's going to bit, and you're going to break the plow.
but the act of picking up that rock and throwing it just looks like the guy wants to throw a rock. It doesn't show anything about the field. It's just an act of throwing a rock. If he's careful and specific about which rock he moves, now the field's going to be more productive. That is noticeable that it's for the field.
It just says Bahoil. If it benefits the land, then you're okay. So even if he
Well,
just
no, but it
throws
has
the
to be a
rock, if he
specific
just
benefit, though.
if he throws the rock and the field benefits, then it's a chazaka.
No, because that was the first Havamina of the Gemara. They say it says if you take the rock, stopping water from draining from the field and throw that rock, that's nothing.
No, but they
It
came
has-
back and they came back and said yes, it's okay, it works.
No, not in that case. Only if removing the rock is going to allow the irrigation of the field, not the drainage. Drainage is not enough. I need irrigation. I need a positive, what's it called, teitzah from the action, in order for it to be noticeable that it's for the field.
I'm taking a 6 foot by 6 foot rock out of the middle of the field so you can plow it.
I mean, that's not a tzroyer, but
Well-
that might work. We're talking about a tzroyer, a pebble, a small rock.
So
We're talking about a small rock. You're right.
you're taking 400 small rocks from the middle of the field so you
It
can
doesn't say that.
That's not a
He
kiddush.
took
Of
one
course, that's
small
good.
rock. That's the Gemara says he took one small rock.
Right.
Okay.
We're trying to find a case where it's noticeable from the removal or placing of one small rock that would be a chazaka.
I'm
We're
saying
trying
when
to
you
find
think about
the
it,
smallest way to do a chazaka.
well, then what's it? Putting up a wall. So why is putting up a wall doesn't improve your field either? It just keeps people out. There's nothing. That's not directing the field.
Yeah, but
Why
that's
is that?
that's
Why
not
is
what
that
we're
not
looking
Maria
for.
Chavri? Ari, now
Because
that
putting up a wall, no one else would put up a wall except the owner. We're looking for an action that
good, so nobody else would.
shows violence.
Who else would take a rock out of a field except for the
Right,
owner?
but putting up a wall also makes sure that people don't trample your crops.
Now, that's
So
true,
that's
but I'm
how-
saying, so why is that different than picking up a rock and throwing it out?
Because it shows violence. I wouldn't
saying-
put up a wall around your backyard.
And I wouldn't pick up a rock from your yard either. I'm not such a nice guy. Why would I do
A
that?
lot of people would. You ever heard of skipping rocks? People pick up rocks and throw them all over the place.
I was waiting for you to say that, Gershon, because now I'm going to tell you a story. Someplace I saw last week on ESPN, skipping rocks World Series. The guy was
Really?
able to do 15 skips. The Rock took 15 skips, if you can imagine such a thing.
Mama Saled.
Did they
Mama
drug
Shaled.
test that rock? Did they drug test that rock? They have to drug test.
I
that
don't
rock.
know.
I was gonna
That's a
say
good
some
point.
Jewish
Yeah.
guy came up with this game and he's selling the rocks. They
It's
can't use the same
15
rock twice.
It skipped 15 times. I saw it.
I believe that rock's been corked.
I saw the show for 1 minute. It was
I don't know. You know, it's
That's
interesting.
the point. That doesn't show violence over anything. That just shows
Well-
he's having fun.
he won
No.
money. He also won money besides
It's
having
interesting
fun.
thing, you know. The Ramah says you're not supposed to make a kiddush on grass. You're not supposed to eat a suda on grass because you might spill water. Right? The Ramah says better, whatever. So some people can say that's fine for the balabas, but I'm a guest of the balabas. I could drink because I could care less to water his grass. If I spill water on his grass, has nothing to do with me. So it's only the host that has the problem. The guests have no
interesting.
problem. I said, with those type of guests, who needs enemies? But all right, so, but it's interesting. Maybe that has to do with this. Now that you're mentioning it, maybe like, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, bye. Fine. Two lines up from the bottom. So now the Gemara does a different thing. So you have basically the way fields looked back then. You had you had a field, and then they had these little boundaries. We've had it a couple times. These little boundaries to separate the field, where it was like a little higher. The boundaries were higher and a little bit like a couple inches higher, and that's you were also able to walk on those and not trample your crops. Right. So let's say a guy's being kind of two fields, but there's a boundary in between. Does he have to do a separate kinyan on each field? So we're talking about a ger who died. He had no yarshim. So therefore it's hefker. So first come, first serve, first not serve or whatever. Whoever comes first gets it. So now let's say the guy wants both fields. Does he have to make a chazak on both, etc., etc.? Gemara is going to go through a whole lot of variables here now. You have two fields. One boundary between them. Let's say he decided to make a chazak on one of them to be kind, but he didn't care to get the other field. Right? Meaning he's a generous fellow. He says, why should I be selfish? Be kind of both. I don't want one field. So if he does that, he's kind of that field. Right? Right? Meaning the Rashbam points out if there would be no boundary, then he would get both fields automatic. But once there's a boundary there, then he only gets the field he made a chazak on Tomid Beis. Let's say he wants to be kind of it and the neighboring field, right? He's only kind of that with chaverta like kind. He's not kind of the chaverta because there's a boundary, right? Since there's a boundary there, he has to go make chazak on both fields separately. Liknois is chaverta. Let's say he's too lazy to go to the further field. So he wants to make a chazak on this field, but he says, I don't want this field. I really want the other field, and that avad is not going to work, right? Then he's not kind of either one, right? Meaning if he got the further field, he doesn't want to go to it, but that's the one he wants. He makes a kinyan on this field in his head, he's being kind of the other field. So Gemara says he gets nothing. He doesn't even get the field that he made the kinyan on. All right, so those are those variables. Now the Gemara has two takeaways. Let's say he made a chazak on one of these fields, liknois oisa, to be kind it, and he also wanted to be kind of the boundary, and the field, meaning he wanted to be kind of the first field and the boundary and the next field. Mao, what's the din? Mi amrinon meitzer da'arachadu. Do we say that the boundary of the field is one, the kani, meaning it's all one thing, means the field and the boundary are all together, and he's kind of everything. One field is by itself, and one field by itself. And then you cannot be kind of anything. So the Gemara, you'll be kind of the one that you're making the kinyan, but not the other one. Yeah. So teku, it's teku. Meaning the difference between this, before we said that if you kind of one field, you for sure not kind of the other field. That's somewhere where he didn't have anything in mind with the boundary, but here he was kind of this field and the boundary, which is connected to this field, and then the other field is connected to this one. So maybe that would be enough. So that's a take.
How's that any worse than doing a kinyan with chalipin? You're over here and you're kind of something over there.
No, you could do a kinyan, but here you're trying to make and a chanami. You could do. But you're not doing it.
You're talking to Sada from a ger who's nifter, so it's hefker.
Right, but
here
you're
not, I have to change anything.
You can never be kind of karka agav karka.
No, I'm saying he's not doing that type of kinyan here. Anyways, it doesn't make a difference. We're talking about if he wants to do a kinyan this way. Right? And I would imagine he could do a chalipin. Besides what Gershon is saying. Right? Yeah. Anyways, so that's one teku by Rav Elazar. So let's say he made a chazaka on the boundary. See, right? He's thinking he's a lazy way. He wants to be kind of both. Says to himself, I got to go do a kinyan on one field, then go and do another kinyan. Maybe I'll just make a kinyan on the boundary of both fields, and then I'll be kind of both fields. So Mao, and High Meitzar, Afsaradaru. The boundary is considered the Afsara's how do you call it? The thing goes around the animal's neck, the reins. It's the rein of the land, the kani, meaning just the same way when you kind an animal, you grab the reins and you could be kind of it. So then the same thing with the field. Each one is by itself, and we don't care about you making a kinyan on the boundary. So take it.
It's also strange because we said when you're making a wall, both people, when you make this, the two original owners, when they made this wall, part of it was from the first party and part was from the second party. So that actual wall is made up of a chelik from both. So why wouldn't that work?
Right.
Why didn't that work? Because he's actually being kind of a chelik from each when he's kind of the
right. That's right. But we're saying that maybe it's not connected. You have to actually do a mice in the actual field.
Yeah, but, I mean, we know there's a lot.
The Rashban says the Rachak Bapursa. He didn't do a full chazaka for the field on the Meitzar. He just did a Meitzar dike chazaka. That's why it's a shayla. If he would breach the wall in order to get from one field to the other, that would be a chazaka for both fields. It's only a case where Rachak Bapursa. He moved a small part of the wall. So it's not a good chazaka for either field, potentially.
Right. I hear that. Yeah. But anyways, okay. So the Gemara says take. Fine. Now the Gemara continues with other ways of making chazak. Actually, first the Gemara goes with similar cases. You have two houses. One, there's a word for this, like a railroad house. It's a railroad, meaning one house, one is right behind the other. Meaning, in order to get into the inside house, you have to go through the outside.
Yeah, railroad apartments. They were like that. Yeah, railroad apartments.
Right,
Kind
so
of
the only
muddy.
way, right? So the poor person on the outside, but fine. I'm saying so you got the only way to get to the inside is through the outside. So hichzik bechitzain leknaisai. If you did a chazak on the outer one to be kind of kano, then you're kind of the outside one. Leknais oisev esapnimi. But if you want to be kind of the outside and the inside one, chitzan kana, you're kind of the outside pnimi like kana. You're not kind of the pnimi. Why? Because you can live in the inside one without meaning the outside guy has no right to be going to the inside. So
how you kind of both? How you kind of both?
You're gonna have to make a kinyan on the inside.
Give it a second.
Well, you're gonna have to do both.
Wait a second. It's the next line of the Gemara.
Let's say you want to do the inside one. You're not only do kinyan on the outside to be kind of the inside doesn't work, right? And you have to do a kinyan on the inside. That's the next Gemara. If you do a chazak on the inside one to be kind of kanu, then you're kind of the inside one. If you want to be kind of the inside apartment and the outside, kanu shneyan, then you're kind of both. Why? Because in order to get to the inside, you got to go through the outside. So if you make chazaka on the inside one, then avada that works to the outside one. Liknais is a chitzain, but if you did a kinyan on the inside in order just to be kind of the outside, af panimi like kind of, then you're not even kind of the panimi. Exact same Gemara as before. Well, not exact, but almost the same Gemara as before with the neighboring properties, right? So if you're being kind of on the inside to be kind of the inside and the outside, that works. If you're kind of the inside in order to be kind of the outside and not the inside, that does not work. Fine. Now the Gemara does other kinyanim. This is a fascinating one. A guy builds an entire mansion on a ger's property. The ger dies, everything's up for grabs. The guy builds an entire mansion. And then somebody comes along, a smart little yid comes along, and he just puts up the doors. He's kinda. The second guy is kinda. When you have one guy who put up the whole house, and the second guy.
And he doesn't have to pay him?
I don't think so. It doesn't
The
say
guy
that
built the mansion, so he loses the money. The other guy has the chazaka, but he doesn't have to pay him for it?
No, it would be like building on someone else's property. You'd have to pay whichever's lower, the Hitzah or the Shvach, whichever's lower.
So I'm saying, so he would have to pay him.
Yeah, you can't make him lose. You can't steal from him.
Okay.
I don't know. Why was that?
Stealing from who?
No, I'm not sure.
The
I'm
guy
The
who
guy
put up
didn't
the
own
house.
the land, the Ger owned the land. What the guy?
It's true. He's kind of the land, but the house he's not kind of without paying. Well, he's
Why
kind
not?
of because he's on the
Why
land.
not?
You can tell him take his house and move it somewhere
Why,
else.
Why not? Why
That's
can't he
true.
cut
You can
the
tell him
house?
to take his house and move to
The
somewhere
house
else.
is the house is there without rishus.
Okay, but it still belongs to someone else.
Neither one.
I don't know.
has a-
No,
Let's
it
the
don't
next
belong
line.
to him.
You would have to pay. You're saying you'd have to pay at least his expenses. Is that what you're saying?
Gershon, you built a house on my porch, so it's not your house. I own it.
Right, but you have to pay him minimum wage, whatever the minimum you would have to pay. If it improved, if you didn't improve it, then you wouldn't have to pay him anything. If he improved your house, then you'd have to pay him cost. I think that's what we would say. But I'm not sure because look at the next line. Look at the next line. My timer. Why is it that the second guy's kind of because he puts up the doors? So Kama livni ba'almahu da'apich. He was he was flipping bricks. So
It
Mamela, he
sounds
was
like
flipping.
he didn't pay anything. There were no hitzos. He used the stuff from the Niflei Hager to put up this mansion. So Taka didn't belong to him.
That's what it sounds right. So that's what it sounds like.
But if he went to Home Depot and bought all the stuff, that would be a different case. Then he does. He's
I
not
don't know.
really
Would he be kind of then?
Would he be? He might be kind of the whole land that way.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that so? Is that so?
Why not? The word
What do you
here
do to
is
the
that
land?
he took the Niflei Hager and he didn't change anything.
I'm saying I don't know what
If
he
I
did to the
bring
land.
my trucks and put up a house on Hefker land, that would be a chazaka. Ein chazaka gedol mizu. But if I take bricks, the rocks that are already there, build something out of it, I'm just playing Lego with bricks.
So when we start out the case, we say habona. It's not really bona.
Yes, but he's buying it with the stuff that was there. He didn't bring anything new from his own. He used whatever was on the land of Niflei Hager. That's a different case. That's not what the case that I was talking about.
Right. So Taisus actually talks about whether did he do a foundation here? Did he build a foundation? Right? Because if he built a foundation, it's hard to say that he's not kind of the karka. Right? He built the foundation, right? It's a Gemara's mashur. There was no foundation there. The Taisus says, right, whatever the Rishonim the tumult with this, whether it's talking about with the foundation or not. Okay. Amar Abdimi bar Yosef Amar Abelazar Amaitzi Platrin b'Nichsei Hager. So if somebody he finds a mansion in the Nichsei Hager, and the Ger obviously died. Besad behen siyud echad, and he decides to plaster one. Siyud echad means one area. He plasters it. Ikiyar echad, or he puts something on the wall. And then he's kind of the entire mansion. Right? Why? Because he's improving the house. The kama, how much does he have to do? Yosef Amma, he has to do at least one Amma, a square Amma. And it has to be opposite the door. Why? Because that's what you notice it. We're going to see Bez Hashem later this week. The Gemara in Bava Basra says that's the Gemara in Bava Basra on Daf Samach says about being making a zeichel l'churban. It has the exact same halachas. I'm not sure what the connection is, but if somebody has to make a zeichel l'churban in a new house, so you're supposed to leave an amma by an amma unfinished, opposite the front door. Right, but again, if he does this, then he is kind of the house. So Amar Rav Amram, Hi Milsa Amarlan Rav Sheshes. This thing Rav Sheshes told us. This is meaning this is not the past thing. This coming, the Gemara is the Gemara is going to say. Rav Sheshes told us, "Vanarinu einen b'masnisa," and he lit up our eyes, right, with this from Brisa. But what's the case? Hamatzia matzois. Kind of somebody puts out mattresses in a ger's property, then he's kind of, meaning he doesn't do anything to the land. All he does is he pitches a tent essentially I don't even need a tent. He just puts a sleeping bag.
And he lies
Right.
down in it.
What? I'm not so sure. Who says he lies down in it?
I mean, Art Scroll adds that, but I don't know if that's
Yeah?
because, yeah.
Why? See, look at it. The Taisa says.
It's the first words of the Rashbam.
Yeah, but the Taisus. One second. Taisus. I'm forgetting what the Rashbam says. You're right. Yeah, the Rashbam Taka says he stays there. But it doesn't say why. Right? But Taisus says the Davka Tzia Haval Holach Bebayis Ashachav. Let's say you just lay down. That's not enough. Even if you find beds there before, right? Because it has to be something chashuv. So laying out beds, that's chashuv. Just laying down is not considered chashuv, right?
I think this was the point that I was trying to say before. If I bring my stuff to, let's say, a ger, that would be kind of. That's the point here. Just being there isn't doing anything. So you're playing Lego, you're sleeping. I've slept in your house before. I've slept in his house before. It doesn't show bailus.
Right.
But bringing my stuff and sleeping, that shows bailus.
I hear. Right. Okay. I mean, I don't know.
And
It's
vice versa. Just bringing my stuff without sleeping doesn't show bailus either. I'm just dumping stuff in your karka.
So what is the case? Can you tell me the case? So I understand.
He brought his mattress and he slept on it.
Where did he bring his mattress? To where?
To Nifsei Hager. A ger died, so he has no Yorshim.
So this happens after the ger dies?
Yeah.
It's after the ger dies.
Everybody else went to the Levaya, Rabbi, and this guy went to the field on his way to the Levaya, and he chopped it, right?
Well, he didn't know if he was getting reimbursed.
And if the ger had children, then he has children. Yeah?
Yeah, we're talking about a ger without children, correct?
Okay.
Children after he became a ger.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
He didn't know if he was going to get reimbursed for the mansion, so he decided just to put his mattress down.
Right. Yeah, whatever. But I'm saying, but it's just hard to get like with every other sugya. It's hard to pin down what they consider a chazaka, what's not a chazaka, right? Yeah, meaning, wait, does it have to be a certain thick mattress? Maybe Takamai case of a sleeping bag doesn't work. Does it have to be like a mattress that's more permanent?
I don't think so. Even a sleeping bag would work with Ira. It doesn't, as long as I bring my stuff and sleep in it on this hefker karka, I would be kind of the karka. Doesn't matter what the quality is.
Right, but sleeping not. Even though, so what is a
sleeping
mattress
alone not? No, because I've slept by you
before.
If I would turn up to your house with my mattress and go to sleep, that would be very, very strange.
Well, he calls it sleepover, and you bring he calls it sleepover, and you bring your own mattress. He tells the kids to sleep over. They bring their own mattress to the house. Well, what's the big deal? Mice and McCall Yoim.
Not with no one else there. If I turned up at your house when you're on vacation, there's no one in your home, and I bring my mattress and sleep, that looks like it's my house.
No, it's Sukkah store. I went away for Sukkah. So slept on my porch and my Sukkah. Big deal.
Yeah, I'm not sure it would work in a Sukkah, but in a house, maybe.
I don't know, Taka. What would it change in a Sukkah? Maybe.
Because everyone's just pulling the mattresses in. The fact that it's mine is unrecognizable.
Right. Okay, let's just yeah. Anyways, so okay, but what is it? So he said this thing, and then he said he lit up.
I'm sorry. That was already discussed by Sukkah Gazela. Sukkah Gazela, you get the mitzvah of Sukkah because they ain't karka nigzelis. So if you go ahead and go sleep in the other guy's Sukkah, that's very nice. But it's obviously it's not. You're not coining the Sukkah, but you're getting the mitzvah of yeshiva of sleeping in the Sukkah. But that's already discussed.
Yeah, but that's nigzelis. What happens if it's Sukkah's nifsei hager? Are you kind of then? Why not?
Right.
Maybe yeah. Maybe yeah.
So that's the two tzaddim here. It's not an exelis. Does it show bailus? Yes. The problem there is kalkein and exelis. Here I'm not stealing. I just want to make a chazaka.
Right. So the zealous. I told Aaron he has to go to Florida, get out, and then I sleep in his sukkah. That's the zealous. Yeah. All right. All right. You're right.
Yes. Okay. So let's see. So what's the proof from the brisa? When Arinu Eino Mimasnisa, and he lit up our eyes from the brisa. What is that? Tanya Ketzad b'chazaka. Right? How do you make a chazaka? Nol loy minoloy. Meaning, this is talking about making chazaka on a eved. Yes. So how do you make a chazaka on an eved? Nol loy minoloy. If the slave puts on his shoes, or he takes off his shoes, meaning he takes off the boss's shoes. Or he carries his clothing to the bathhouse, or he takes off his clothing, or he washes him. Sachu, he smears him, right? Gardu is he scrapes the skin. Bishu, or he gets him dressed, and he puts his shoes on, even though they already said it. Right? It's because now it's just going through the order of dressing somebody. Vihigbiu, or he lifted him up. Right? He lifted up the master. Kanu, so then he's kind of the Evid, because he shows that this guy is his slave. Amar Shimon, loite chazak gedolim me'agba. A chazaka should not be any better than agba. Agba kind of b'chol makom, because agba is kind of in all cases. So what is my comment? So what does that mean? If the slave lifts up his master, then the master is kind of the Evid. Right? It's an interesting thing. It's like a little riddle. How can you be kind of something by you being lifted up? So that's if you get an Evid to lift you up, then you kind of Evid. It'd be a rabbi loy, but so what about if the master lifts up the Evid? So the lachara, that should be a kinyan agba. Loy kanu is not kind. Rab Shimon. So Rab Shimon says, no, that doesn't make sense. Meaning again, we're saying if the Evid picks up the master's kind of the Evid. If the master picks up the Evid, he's not kind. Doesn't make sense. Rab Shimon says, Rab Shimon, loy te chazak, agba. Chazaka should be no bigger than agba. Shagba kind of b'chol makom. Lifting, anytime you lift something up, you're kind of b'chol makom. Right? Meaning, any agba works everywhere, even if it's in the chutzner of somebody else. Right?
Do they have to be arguing?
That's the way I understood it.
Yeah, why do they have to be arguing, Gershon? Come on.
I don't know, because the Tanakama was talking about Kinyan Chazaka. The Shimon's talking about Kinyan Agbo. As Kinyan Chazaka, they both agree. It would not be a Chazaka for the Adon to lift the Evid. That's not a Chazaka. But it might be Agbo.
Right.
I need the item to be Kona. You can pick up the Rav's yarmulke or his pen, and you could be Kona somebody else's daughter.
Right. So well, that's chalipin though. It's a little bit of a different.
Saying you sell chametz, you're a principal or whatever. You just pick up a pen.
Okay, but right, but you're not doing
Right.
on the.
Yeah, and you own a liquor store. You have $300,000 inventory. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, but now I wasn't sure. Maybe I'm just not getting the Gemara. What does this have to do with the mattress? What does this have to do with the mattress? He said, I have a din that you can make a chazaka by putting a mattress down. Right? And he says, and he lit up our eyes from this brisa. What does this have to do with the mattress? Meaning this is l'chayra raya. I don't know. Am I missing something? What does this have to do with the mattresses?
It's just a benefit. So the mattress benefits the land, just like when you acquire the slave. Anything the slave does for you, you get hana from.
Oh, you mean so it has nothing to do with the last part, the machlokes, whether you can lift up the slave, meaning the first part. That's what you're saying. I maybe.
I think it's all a hana from the slave. Even if he lifts you up, he's lifting you up because let's say you can't get off a chair by yourself, or like Oscar the Grouch. You're in limit in a garbage can or something. They didn't have wheelchairs back then.
Right. I used to love Oscar the Grouch. He was my favorite, but nothing changed. But okay, maybe that's what it is. Okay, you're saying it's from the. I hear you saying it's from the first part of the Bryce. Yeah, I hear. Okay, we'll stop over here. Stop over here. Let's say it till him.